A military escort for Canadian football's greatest treasure.
It's the start of the week when the Cup is actually in town.
As police take down the protest in Toronto, we count heads in Winnipeg. Plus, cutting it a little close.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We are following the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to the Grey Cup, just a few days away now, and Bomber fans in Vancouver are already celebrating. This was a big day. CBC's Sean Reynolds joins us live from Vancouver tonight.
Well, the festival atmosphere is slowly starting to build here in the city. You can't really tell from the newsroom here in the CBC, but just a few blocks away is BC Place, and there's a definite buzz in the streets. But the major buzz in the streets today was actually in Stanley Park. This group of Bomber fans have been here in Vancouver since Monday, but for them the Grey Cup week officially kicks off today with the arrival of the week's biggest star. This morning the Grey Cup arrived in style by military helicopter.
It's the start of the week when the Cup is actually in town.
This crew has been hitting up the Grey Cup over a decade now. From all across the country, they met at the Grey Cup 10 years ago and have been meeting there ever since. This year it's the Manitobans who will carry the hopes of the group.
I feel good because we got a good defense and we beat a BC Lion team when we had a good defense before, not much of an offense. I think it's looking pretty good for the Bombers.
At least they have backup.
Go Bombers, go.
Wayne Zernicki is waiting for his crew from Winnipeg to arrive. No big deal, born in Winnipeg, Zernicki has been living here in Vancouver for years now. A season ticket holder to Lions games, he's been wearing this Bomber jersey all year.
All the fans love me for that.
They do?
Oh yes, yes. You get a little bit of flack, but by and large, they're pretty good with it.
It's not all about the party. These fans believe their energy will have an impact on the game, and so do the players.
They won't be able to make enough noise to distract BC, but they'll be able to make enough noise to support us, and we'll be able to see them. So we know the blue and gold are very proud people, and we'll be looking for them.
So what can fans expect when they get here? Let's just say it will be good to have a thick skin if you're wearing Bomber blue.
Well, they can expect a lot of negative comments about where they're from and the size of the mosquitoes.
But I think it's going to be going both ways because we've already got it, getting the gears from some of the local fans.
Sean Reynolds, CBC News, Vancouver.
I think we can take it. Coming up at 5:30, the extreme lengths Bomber fans who are still here in Winnipeg are going to, just trying to get to the Grey Cup in Vancouver. Well, it's official. It's Wee Day, and Grey Cup week is underway in Vancouver. Bomber fans are already getting a head start there. CBC's Sean Reynolds is in Vancouver tonight and joins us live.
Well, the Grey Cup arrived here in Vancouver today, and so too did a number of Bomber fans. They're hoping that the Cup is just making a temporary stop of sorts here in Vancouver, if you know what I mean, like hanging out at BC Place for a while and then, you know, on Monday making the trip back with the Bombers to Winnipeg. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, today was, in a lot of ways, the first day of the Grey Cup week, of course, with the arrival of the Cup itself, and there was a number of Bomber fans on hand to see that. Also, it was the first day we heard from the coaches and players who took to the field at BC Place for their first practice of the week. Bomber fan Wayne Zernicki, who lives in Vancouver, was there to watch. He says he likes what he sees.
I'm fairly confident because I'm not playing, but I'm fairly confident that the team's going to win because we have a better defense and our offense is going to kick in for this game.
Now, of course, it is early in the week, so there's going to be a lot more Bomber fans coming as we get closer and closer to the weekend, and hopefully that will mean that Bomber pride here in Vancouver is just going to grow. Reporting live in Vancouver, Sean Reynolds, CBC News.
And yes, Sean, Bomber fans are trying to get there, but if they're still in Winnipeg, getting to Vancouver is proving to be a real challenge. Die-hard fans have many different game plans for getting to the Grey Cup. As CBC's Chris Glover found out, some fans, well, they're just leaving it to chance.
Lyle Jackman and Frank Harder have a lot in common. They both love the Bombers, have held season tickets for years, and are on a mission: get to the Grey Cup to watch their team in action. Their strategies are different, though.
It's been brutal, man.
For Jackman, it's been an exhausting week. He landed game tickets on Kijiji from a disgruntled Rough Riders fan.
It's just getting the flight to get there.
His challenge: flights are available, but he'll have to pay.
If I leave on the Tuesday, cheapest flight is $599. If I leave on the Monday, it's $1,160.
Now he's leaving it to chance. He got buddy passes from a friend who works at WestJet. He's going to camp out at the airport, waiting to catch a flight on standby.
And if we get on that flight, great. If not, then we'll just keep trying every flight until we finally get there. Hopefully, you know, being able to get on one by Sunday.
For Frank Harder, buying the flight wasn't an issue. He did that months ago.
This is just a bonus that my team's going to be in there.
He's planning to buy scalp tickets once he gets there.
We'll buy our tickets game day. Got no fear of that.
This has been Frank's strategy for almost a decade, and it's worked every time.
You just show up maybe an hour early, just start mingling around the crowd and listen to the prices, and they all go down.
Randy Zizitko doesn't like leaving something so important to chance. He has a message for all Bomber fans wanting a taste of the Grey Cup.
Well, don't wait. I mean, the bottom line is, you know, support it regardless of who's there, I guess. It just so happens this year's going to be a little sweeter for us.
And oh yeah, next year's centennial's still over a year away. Zizitko's already making plans. Chris Glover, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Blue Bomber coach Paul LaPolice was front and center this morning as Grey Cup week continued in Vancouver. Coach Lapo and BC's Wally Buono, the stars of the annual Coaches Media Conference. And the Bomber boss, he wasted no time getting to the link between the late Richard Harris and the two teams in the big game.
When he came into the league, he came in with the BC Lions. And when Coach Harris left the league, he left with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So I think it's pretty poetic, and I'm sure the big man's smiling down this morning, saying "Good morning, Big Blue," as he always did in every meeting. And I know you didn't mention anything about the Lions.
There's the coach leading the boys through a light workout at BC Place earlier today. The club will hold a closed practice tomorrow. That means no cameras. Offensive Player of the Week, Chris Garrett, and his teammates are hoping all the prep and rehearsing will pay off on Sunday. Former Simon Fraser star Albie Khan knows what it's like to have your hard work pay off.
I watched the 1999 Grey Cup here when I was first year at university. I sat all the way up there in the last row in the stadium, and I watched it with some friends from Simon Fraser, and now I'm playing in it 12 years later, so very special.
Tonight on the evening news.
I'll be running around painted blue. I'll be so excited to be like getting married again.
Bomber fans prepare to paint the West Coast blue and gold as the team starts to get ready for the Grey Cup.
The excitement, there's tons of people, it's fun to be in big crowds and feel like you're a part of something a little insane.
How Winnipeg retailers hope to keep you from crossing the border on the biggest shopping day of the year.
You are not powerless. You have the ability to join together and do great things.
And We Day inspires thousands of Manitoba kids.
From the Global Winnipeg Studios, the evening news with Peter Chura.
It's the first touchdown of the 2011 Grey Cup. The touchdown today of a Royal Canadian Air Force helicopter carrying the Canadian Football League's championship trophy to Vancouver. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers face the BC Lions in the 99th Grey Cup game Sunday at BC Place Stadium. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The arrival of the Grey Cup in the host city marks the beginning of the biggest football party of the year. And Winnipeggers are already there to cheer on the Blue Bombers. There are even some West Coast fans of the blue and gold. And Gold's Lorraine Nickel is in Vancouver in the lead-up to Sunday's historic game. Lorraine?
There's still 4 days until the big game, but Blue Bomber fans from Winnipeg and across the country have already started trickling into the city. And when the Blue Bombers arrived, they got a warm welcome in hostile territory. They may live in BC, but these fans still bleed blue and gold.
I accept the challenge. You know, it's going to be a really fun game, but it's BC Lions fans are a bit of fun. They kind of rib you, but, you know, we can take it. We're from Winnipeg.
I've gotten razzed a couple times by some of my friends saying that the Bombers got nothing.
Justin Suzik says watching the Bombers play in his home city for the ultimate prize is a dream come true.
I couldn't ask for a better Grey Cup. It's awesome. It's like being in Winnipeg for Labor Day, but now that I live here and being a Bomber fan, it's exactly the same. It's awesome.
Justin has tickets to the game, but they're hard to come by. Even some players are still looking for tickets.
Everybody's been scrambling around trying to get family members situated and get everything situated for the game.
And this player is taking his pride for the team to a whole new level.
This is the first time ever doing it. We've been bugging me for a long time. I said, we go to that Grey Cup, I'm going to get it done, brother. We're in the Grey Cup, and I got it done.
For linebacker Enoch Muamba, this game will be extra special. He's playing against his brother.
And if my assignment is to get him, then I'll do that. But if it's not, then, I'll just do my job to the best of my ability.
Brothers or not, the competition will be tough, and the trash talking amongst fans begins.
I'll be running around painted blue. I'll be so excited to be like getting married again.
All the festivities and parties officially get underway tomorrow, and it's likely Bomber fans will be out in full force, and we'll be here to bring you all the action. Peter?
All right, thanks, Lorraine. Global's Lorraine Nickel in Vancouver tonight. Now, the Bombers got right to work on their first full day in Vancouver. The Blue and Gold hit the field for practice today. Global Winnipeg's Russ Hobson is there, and he'll have more details later on the show in sports. Now, if you want to see more of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their fans on the West Coast getting ready for the Grey Cup game this Sunday, look no further than our website. The whole section is devoted to our coverage of the quest for the Cup on globalwinnipeg.com.
Grey Cup Wednesday, and the Blue Bombers and BC Lions practicing for the first time as they prepare themselves for the 99th Grey Cup game this Sunday. Our man working overtime in Vancouver is Russ Hobson.
Thanks, Joe. Hello, and welcome to the newly renovated BC Place, the site of this year's 99th Grey Cup. Grey Cup week officially began this morning with the traditional coaches media conference, but the Lions' Corey Banks fired the first shot yesterday, saying there's no one on the Bomber defense he'd take on his team. The Bombers refuse to bite and are more concerned with the game itself and playing a game of this magnitude in enemy territory.
Playing in front of the Lions home crowd, this is a loud building, so we'll work our crowd noise, and that's something we've done all year long. So hopefully, it's not a distraction for us. Our players have been through it before, been prepared for it. We need to make that as small a distraction as possible.
The Bombers hit the turf at BC Place for the first time this morning, and the dream of the three-peat may be dead for the Alouettes, but not for Bombers defensive coordinator Tim Burke. The architect of the Bombers' top-ranked defense helped the Owls to back-to-back Grey Cups before jumping ship to the Bombers in the offseason.
Realistically, you wouldn't have said to yourself, oh yeah, we'll be in the Grey Cup.
No one could have predicted the quick turnaround from a 4-14 season. Head coach Paul LaPolice calls Tim Burke the team's most important offseason acquisition, and the numbers don't lie as the stingy Bombers defense led the CFL in most of the important statistical categories.
We simplified what we were doing on defense. We made it easier for the players so they didn't have to think too much, and we adapted the defense to what our players were good at.
No other CFL team switches defenders as often as the Bombers, with as many as 6 or 7 different players rotating in or out on any given play.
It's just trying to get a matchup, but a lot of it too is I don't think you can ask your 4-down defensive linemen to pass rush the whole game. I think that you've got to spell them. Most NFL teams do. They roll guys in and out to keep them fresh.
The Bombers practicing with crowd noise blaring in the background for their first practice here. As expected, Brandon Stewart will be unable to play on Sunday after spraining his ankle in the East Final, but the Bombers shouldn't miss a beat with Dion Beasley coming in to play at the wide side corner position. Joe?
Well, thank you, Russ. We'll talk to you tonight on Prime News and on News Final. Well, it has been 23 years since the Bombers and Lions first met for the Grey Cup. Bombers won that day 22-21, thanks in part to Mike Gray's immaculate interception. We went into our archives for the complete story behind the play. You can see it by going to globalwinnipeg.com. Click on our special Quest for the Cup site. The game may have a different outcome had Matt Dunnigan looked to his left.
The Blue and Gold Report brought to you by Booster Juice. 7 locations in Winnipeg.
Tonight on Prime News.
Blue and Gold fever hits Vancouver as the Bombers and their fans get ready for the Grey Cup. The key witness in a double murder trial recounts the chilling details leading up to the killing of a Winnipeg couple. And get ready for the biggest shopping day of the year. Local retailers try to compete as customers head south in search of deals.
From the Global Winnipeg Studios, Prime News with Heather Steele.
The fans, the players, and now the Grey Cup have all touched down in Vancouver. The Royal Canadian Air Force helicopter delivered the CFL's championship trophy today. The Blue Bombers hoping to bring it home after they face the BC Lions on Sunday. Thanks for joining us. Winnipeggers are set to cheer on their team, and as you know, some have already headed west to show their Bomber pride in person. There are even some Bomber fans who live in BC. Everyone taking in the festivities together. We go to Global's Lorraine Nickel now, who is reporting from Vancouver tonight.
Heather, I'm here on Robson Street in downtown Vancouver, where, as you can see behind me, crews have shut down the street and are getting ready for the festivities this weekend. But tonight, we take you inside a party made especially for Blue Bomber fans.
Well, I'm from Winnipeg originally.
It's no secret Phil Hostian is a Bomber fan through and through.
And we put in a Blue Bomber jersey, and then we wanted to make sure our BC Lion fans are happy as well.
So it's not a surprise that he's turned his downtown Vancouver restaurant, Elephant and Castle, into the Blue and Gold House.
So we're expecting a really packed house down here.
Starting tomorrow, he's expecting over 300 people. You guessed it, Bomber fans.
The phone's been ringing off the hook all week. People wanting to come in, not just from Winnipeg, but people that have moved from Winnipeg to Vancouver.
Even the waitresses will be sporting Bomber shirts, something they don't mind. The party runs from 5 to midnight every night, and the big game will be played on the screens on Sunday.
We're going to have the Bomber executive, Blue Bomber alumni, hopefully the Winnipeg Blue Bomber Lightning dance team, and hopefully the players will be out as well.
I know several flights from Winnipeg with Blue Bomber fans have arrived here. The festivities and parties officially get underway tomorrow, and we'll be here to bring you all the action. Heather?
Okay, thanks, Lorraine. Global's Lorraine Nickel reporting from Vancouver tonight. And today was the team's first full day in Vancouver. The Blue and Gold got right to work, practicing on the field. Global's Russ Hobson is also in BC, and he'll be reporting on all of those details coming up later in the show. Now, there's an entire section of our website dedicated to Grey Cup countdown coverage. Everything you want to see for the Blue Bombers and their fans leading up to Sunday's game is on globalwinnipeg.com.
Well, just about an hour and 43 minutes to go before the Bomber players are to be in their rooms as mandated by head coach Paul LaPolice, who is maintaining an 11 o'clock curfew for his players during Grey Cup week. After all, this is a business trip. Not the same, I'm sure, for our Russ Hobson, who had a very busy day as Grey Cup week really got underway with both the Bombers and the Lions practicing ahead of Sunday's 99th Grey Cup.
Grey Cup week officially getting underway this morning with the traditional coaches media conference, but the Lions' Corey Banks fired the first shot yesterday, saying there's no one on the Bombers' defense he'd take on his team. The Bombers refuse to bite and are more concerned with the game itself and playing a game of this magnitude in enemy territory.
Playing in front of the Lions home crowd, this is a loud building, so we'll work our crowd noise, and it's something we've done all year long, so hopefully, you know, it's not a distraction for us. Our players have been through it before, been prepared for it. We need to make that as small a distraction as possible.
The Lions, of course, cut Buck Pierce before joining the Bombers, but Wally Buono still heaped praise on the Bombers' QB.
Buck isn't going to play football like a sissy, right? He plays it like a man. And he plays hard-nosed football, so he's going to take hits.